All right, we got one more article to go, and we've got a review to cover.
Mm-hmm.
And the next article, well, that just bitch slapped us like a ton of bricks. I was rolling in the Rivian on the way into the show, and I started getting a little lit up. Apparently, Grant Cardone is suing John Legere, whatever.
Former T-Mobile CEO.
Former T-Mobile CEO. Now, there's some history here on a Clubhouse discussion, and then ultimately on, I think it was X at the time.
Did you ever tune into any of those clubhouses?
I downloaded the app. I tried to use it once or twice. I really did not enjoy it, and I think it was
draw. I got the draw.
It was supposed to be like a live format podcast, really.
Where like you got to sit in on a conversation that you would never really get a chance to.
But then Twitter's Spaces really killed that.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, and I got to listen. So on a Twitter Space, actually, John and Cardone went off on each other, and it's out there. It's all over the internet. You can find their initial back and forth. And John basically called him a fraud.
You're not a real billionaire.
Yeah, you're not a real billionaire, and he called him out. But John was very, very measured in his responses, and even accused Cardone of getting direction from his attorney on this same conversation. And John is got some stigma in his past too. He's a very interesting personality. He calls people out. He's very different than your traditional CEO, but he's made a lot of money, and it's verified and real. Okay, he certainly doesn't like Grant Cardone. And I've called Grant Cardone out for things here and there on the show in the past, a couple episodes. All good. But he has now filed a $100 million defamation suit, according to the New York Post, against John. Now, this exchange took place, I think, over a year ago. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I read the article from the New York Post, which talks about the history that we just broke down to you, talks about kind of their individual, perspectives, and references a post that Grant Cardone made on, I want to say it was Instagram, where he basically said, if you're a podcaster, if you're a YouTuber, if you're out there besmirching my name,
mm-hmm.
I'm coming for all of you. This is the first, and I'm not going to comment on more, but there's more.
And look at us, brave soldiers.
We are brave soldiers. I'm
I salute you, sir.
So afraid right now. Something tells me we are not even remotely close to his radar. But if we are,
yeah,
just know. And I will say, my first glance at this, I'll be honest, was like, okay, this is what Scientology does. Grant Cardone's a very well-known Scientologist, and Scientology is very known for being very aggressive in defending what they think is their higher-ups, their influential people. And Grant Cardone, like it or not, is an influential person from a notoriety perspective for the church. I thought that was my first kind of like thought. And then I was like, wait a minute. You know what? I'm judging. Let me read the complaint. Right?
Right.
So I started looking for it. I am a licensed attorney, for the record.
Yeah.
I was not able to find it. And the the New York Times, New York Post, the New York Post article. Sorry, jeez. Arun moved it on me, and I lost everything all of a sudden. The New York Post article, it's always Arun's fault, by the way, said that it had just been filed in...
it says, according to a Florida suit filed Thursday in Miami-Dade County.
Yeah, so I could not find that. So I called a buddy of mine who actually is an attorney in Miami-Dade County. I said, hey, bud, I know it's late there, but can you pull this up for me? He couldn't find it either.
But it is currently it's Thursday night.
It is Thursday night. So it may show up. Like I don't know how long the delay is. He told me, I usually see them same day. They can come the day after. He's like, I'm not entirely thrown off by that, but there is something that makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, well, hey, what is that? And he goes, well, this interview is with the New York Post, not the Wall Street Journal, not a more reputable journalistic integrity-based platform. Just okay. So who spoke to them? And I said, well, presumptively from this, somebody from Cardone's camp, but they say that Cardone didn't want to comment, and neither did John Legere's camp, but they seem to have insider information from Cardone, which explains kind of the history here. So, okay. He's like, okay, well, whatever. He's like, clearly this is Cardone's people putting something out. And they said, again, to your point, but according to the Florida suit filed Thursday in Miami-Dade County, the value of Cardone's brand lately has been slashed by an amount believed to be no less than $100 million because of Legere's false and defamatory statements.
Come on, man.
So,
what about those properties that you bought that are now undervalued?
well, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if there's any. And John was very smart. I don't know that he's going to win this suit, and defamation suits are hard, and it's all sorts of weird. But what's weird is
it's tough when you're a public figure, right?
if you're the New York Post, why didn't you publish it?
Publish a suit.
Why didn't you give us snippets of the suit or pictures or something from it?
This is what makes them partially like not that credible, right? Like, I mean, you should have done your due diligence and had that.
Well, look, I'll read it again. But according to a Florida suit filed Thursday in Miami-Dade County, the value of Cardone's brand has
they're citing the suit as if they saw it.
A Florida suit filed, not the Florida suit.
According to a Florida, right?
Okay. In online chats and social media comments, Legere has publicly slammed not only Cardone's financial savvy, but also the fact that Cardone claims to be a billionaire. Okay. If I'm not aware that Cardone is a billionaire, but I mean, he said some pretty inflammatory shit on that. That's clear. But there's nothing here that gives me anything of tangible value from the suit.
And the reason why we're making this such a big deal is because he went out of his way to say, I'm coming after all the YouTubers.
Stop right there.
All the podcasters.
Yes.
All of you. Like, come on, man.
And again, quoting from the New York Post article, the filing says, according to this article, this is their quote, the filing says Legere was accused by audience members of, quote, allegedly being drunk, slurring his words, and appearing jealous and envious of Cardone's self-made status. And when I read that, I'm like, wait a minute. That's going to be a problem. Defamation can vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but I do have a bit of a history with defamation in Florida. I've been involved in a couple things.
No shit.
And if Arun, you want to Google it, there are 3 elements Florida-based defamation.
Oh, okay. A slander or a libel?
I want to say it's
slander, right?
Just the slander stuff, but
libel is when it's written.
Libel is when it's written. Slander's just, but I'm very familiar with the slander stuff.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know if it applies to libel, but I don't think you probably didn't find it. But number one,
I thought I saw Florida defamation law.
No, I have it. I actually have it
right there. What are the 3 elements?
There's 3 elements. I believe the second element is the person has to be cognizant of what they're saying. So under Florida law, defamation lawsuit has to be, okay, the defendant published a false statement, okay? I don't know that Cardone is a billionaire. He's going to have to prove that in court in order to sue for that being defamatory in and of itself. There could be other elements of defamation, like calling him a fraud and stuff like that.
Con man.
That could be about the plaintiff. Okay, done. Published to a third party, done. And the falsity of the statement caused injury to the plaintiff. So you have to prove injury.
Direct causation, right?
Direct causation. It's very difficult to prove when he has a relatively new syndication business. That new syndication business bought real estate. Those values are independent of that. So it shouldn't have hurt your existing business. Now, new business coming in, how do you prove that he, in his comments, stopped you from...
affected those values?
Well, it not only affected your values, but affected your ability to generate new business. And how can you proclaim that it's $100 million? Like, how do you know that you would have made $100 million in new business in a downward trending real estate economy? Maybe you're making less money because real estate just is trending the other way against you right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot there which is murky, but there's also something else that's not here in this law that I know. Slander in particular in the state of Florida, I'm sure someone's going to tell me that I'm wrong, but I know this to be true. You can't be intoxicated. You have to know what you're saying or be in the right mental state to be able to say that he knew what he was saying. So if you said these things
while you're intoxicated
or while you were otherwise mentally just off,
can be used against you.
It generally will not qualify for defamation.
Oh.
And yet the article literally says he sounded drunk when he did it. Why do they do that? Why did the article go out of their way to make that point? It's like they're almost giving him an out.
It says the filing says,
yeah,
accused by audience members of allegedly being drunk, slurring his words, and appearing jealous.
Yeah. And then
I'll tell you right now, he's not jealous.
And it's bizarre. And I think I have it, the exact text. Hold on. I think I have it right here. Let's see. I copied it earlier and wrote it down for the show, and I thought
what text from what?
The text. Oh, here we go. Elements of Florida defamation case made a false statement of fact about you to a third party. So you published a false statement to a third party, someone other than you.
Mm-hmm.
So other people in this chat heard it. So that's there. False statement. They'll have to prove that in court. Had the required state of mind when making the statement.
Mm.
So we're already. So you're telling me they filed? You're telling me that a lawsuit the New York Post had that was filed by Cardone, you found and nobody else can find. I'm told from people who very much know that John Legere has yet to be served and is currently unaware of any suit other than this article.
Right.
So let's go into the facts here. And you're going to tell me the suit that you read that was written and filed by an attorney in a law firm, presumptively a good one for Cardone, who has good attorneys, literally stated a claim and facts which would make the claim ineffective.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
It just seems very bizarre. So
and John Legere hasn't made a statement yet on X or anything.
He has not publicly commented that I'm aware of. Again, this all just happened on the way in, but I found it so strangely bizarre.
Yeah.
That I thought, you know what? Let's put this in the show notes. Let's talk about it, and let's see where it goes. Let's revisit this. It'll be interesting to see in this day and age, at this particular junction or time. A lot of Cardone addressed this, don't say, don't try to use "in my opinion" as a defense or public forum or this or that.
Right.
I really find a lot of this difficult to sue for, and I think he's going to have a very difficult time. So Legere often became extremely defensive, erratic, and combative, seeking to harshly dismiss Cardone's views, even resorting to inappropriate personal attacks directed at Cardone's background, religion, height, business practices, live events, and reputation. Okay, again.
And this was filed in the state of Florida, right?
Florida, yeah.
Miami-Dade
County.
Is that because most of his properties are in Florida?
I don't know what their strategic. I don't know what
there's always a strategy, right? And I think that's worth breaking down to the listeners.
Yeah, but he's suing Legere.
Yeah,
but he, as a local Florida resident who has real estate there, he and his law firm, which may be a Florida law firm, may feel like they've got better likelihood of success on their home turf.
On their home turf,
and it may favor a local hometown boy.
Right, and the laws might favor his
but again,
cause.
I don't really know enough about the background and know. I found it. I mean, it wouldn't be uncommon for you to file a defamation lawsuit, especially one that was on the internet where it was published everywhere across, where it's convenient for you to file. So I'm not taking that. I'm taking it with a grain of salt.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But what I will say is, if you are a court and you've got John Legere, a very wealthy man, and Cardone, who's probably not a billionaire, but still very wealthy, right? Arguing with each other. You're going to get a fucking jury of peers for this? Like, how do you expect this? They're going to be like, what the fuck?
Right. I love, he posted he took a screenshot of the article, posted it, and he captioned it, warning all.
Yeah. So no, look below that. So I'm going to read that actually. Did you have that second part of that, Arun? The rest of the comment, warning all?
Going to it right now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you go to Grant Cardone's profile on Instagram, it's there.
His bros are out there clapping. Dude, Tariq Al Musa was on there.
Yeah, but see, God, I'm going to say this on the record, and I know it's going to come back to bite me in the ass. Tariq Al Musa has always been a weird dude to me, and I don't. Stephen A. Smith is in the picture with Grant Cardone. So I'm going to read this. So he put in all caps, warning. This is from Grant Cardone. He posted a picture of the New York Post article that came out. Warning, all podcasters, influencers, YouTubers, and moderators/hosts.
You can't even bring up my name.
Yeah. Put some respect on my name, yeah. While I will not speak to the Legere case, I can tell you there is more, in all caps, to come. I will be aggressively seeking damages against all caps again, who attempt to defame my name, brand, or business without providing supporting facts and due diligence to support your slander. Now that's interesting because the only other person named in the New York Post article was a gentleman who used to be a Scientologist who put out a very, very detailed YouTube video in which he exposed, in his words, a lot of the things that Grant Cardone did that was wrong. That gentleman was Aaron Smith Levin.
Mm-hmm.
He's a reformed Scientologist himself, and he has a YouTube channel, which we'll probably link whenever we put the show out. But he did a full breakdown on Cardone, and he had all that information in there. He was named in the New York Post article from a historical perspective of how this wound up. It would be fascinating to see if Cardone sues him, but I can tell you, having watched this guy's videos, Aaron's videos, he's not going to shy away from this. He's probably going to have a YouTube video out by tonight or tomorrow talking about this, and he's probably going to go into incredible detail, just like he always has.
He's not standing down.
It's interesting. So and I have a theory. I want to get back to that in a minute. So thousands of families are employed by me at our many companies, and tens of thousands of investors depend on money distributions from our investments. From Cardone still. When reckless slander causes my employees and investors to question themselves, that damages my businesses. And I will do everything necessary to stop anyone who intentionally attempts to do so. That was written poorly. Also, you will not, all caps, be able to hide behind the veil of he is a public figure, which is a valid defense. There's a higher standard of slander for public figures.
Right.
I see what you did.
That's what you did.
In my opinion, all quotes, you can't say, in my opinion, Saeed is chubby. Generally speaking, you are allowed and entitled to your opinion.
Right.
So again, he's saying you can't rely on the two words that typically, because he's going to say, obviously, you just because you use those words, or I was drunk as your defense. Now, having listened to the conversation between John and him
from Clubhouse,
I think that was on Twitter Spaces.
Twitter Spaces.
He actually said the words that he quoted. He didn't say the drunk part, but he said because Grant Cardone tried to call him out and clearly talked to somebody and hesitated, and John Legere knew that there was like some kind of direction. He said, "Let me be clear here, Grant. In my opinion," and then he said the rest. So he's really speaking to you're not going to be able to get out of this by using your carve-out words, additional warning. He goes on. All YouTubers, influencers, podcasters, moderators, and hosts on audio platforms, including guests on live or recorded social media platforms, who seek to damage a business brand or name without providing supporting facts and due diligence to support their claims and headlines must be stopped from their vicious and damaging libel. If you are a witness to this slander, reach out to me. Okay. I found this to be the comments section, by the way, great. Fire comment section.
Do yourself a favor and go check out the comment section.
They're Tariq Musa. I find him to be incredibly bizarre. He's local too, in same circles.
Yeah, 53 likes.
The whole thing is just strange. Keep in mind, there's an entire fan cult, like kind of 10X club that really supports him. So I don't know what to think. But here's what I will say. Strange that nobody has the filing yet, and this article comes out. Why would you let the article come out if you're Cardone's people without John Legere being served first? Why are you taking this tack to put everybody out there on notice? It seems, in my opinion, okay, like a massive PR stunt.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to think about it. I hope to see the complaint, but speaking of the immediate opposite of a complaint, let's talk about a review.